Okay, here's our video today, part 4 of the unit circle. If you did not watch part 1, 2, and 3, well, there's links below. Or you can just join in. Why not join in part 4? So today we're going to look at the special triangles, the 30, 60, 90 triangle, and we'll look at the 45, 45, 90 triangle, and we'll put them on the unit circle and we'll find the coordinates. So let's get a circle. All right, there's our circle. And what should we use today? We'll use purple. So on the circle, we'll make an x and y graph. There's the y-axis. There's the x-axis. Right? And we know that this coordinate right over here, I'll put it in green. There we go. We know that's 1, 0. 1 on the x, 0 on the y. And over here, we know it's 0, 1. And if we could just continue, over here it's -1, 0. And over here is 0, -1. Okay. And we know that every radius you create on the circle is going to be 1. So let's look at the special triangle again. I'll make it over here, the special 30. So there's 30 degrees. And so this is 60 degrees. And then we have our 90. So we know this is our 30, 60, 90. And you know triangles have to equal 180 degrees. You know that. So if you look, the opposite of the 30 degrees will be x. I'll explain that in a minute. Or maybe you know already. And the hypotenuse, the longest side, will be 2x. So this is the shorter leg. And this longer leg on the bottom doesn't have to be on the bottom, but the longer leg will be x square root of 3. So these are the ratios. The ratios are x square root of 3, and 2x. So for example, if we had the shorter leg being 5, well, then the hypotenuse would be 10. It has to be 10 because it's 2x. That was 5. That has to be 10. And then this leg over here would have to be 5 square root of 3. So that's the 30, 60, 90. So let's put it on our unit circle and find the coordinates. So we'll draw that over here. Let's say that's 30 degrees. 30 degrees. And remember, in radians, it's pi over 6. Previous videos, I showed you how to convert that. So what would be this coordinate? So we're going to create a right triangle. There's our right triangle. So we know we have our 90 and we have our 60 right over here. So we have our 30, 60, 90. So look over here. This is what we did. We know this is 1, right? We said that every radius you create on a unit circle, the hypotenuse would be 1. Any radius is 1, right? We can make another one over here. From this origin over here, the center of the circle right out, we know that's 1. Right? So anything we create as a radius will be 1. So we know that if we put a little arrow there, we know that this leg will have to be half of 1 because it says the hypotenuse is 1. Just look over here. Then it has to be half. So it would be half. So we already have the coordinates of x, of the y, I mean. So this is the y. So if we put a dotted line, you could see over here would be half. So we'll just put these big parentheses here. We have our y, which is half. Now we need to find our x. What would our x be? Well, look at it over here. What does it say? It says x square root of 3. So it'll be half square root of 3, which becomes the square root of 3 over 2. So our coordinates are, for x, the square root of 3 over 2, and then half. That would be the coordinate. Rewind if you need to. Let's do another. Oh, and by the way, the other coordinate over here, if you want to find what that is, put a little arrow going out here. Well, you already know the x. The x is the square root of 3 over 2, and the y is at 0. So you know that one. Now, what if we had 60 degrees? So this was 30 degrees. Remember, 30 degrees is pi over 6. So let's clear this out. Go back if you need to. And we'll choose red. So we'll make our X and Y. We'll get a little crooked that today, right? And now we're going to say, let's say it's 60 degrees. So we have this 60-degree angle, and we'll make our right triangle. Right? So we know we have our 60. So this would be 30. Right? If we had our 60 and we had our right triangle, we're having the same thing. We're making our same thing now, right? We're making the same special 30, 60, 90 triangle. But be careful. The last time we did it, what was opposite the 30 degrees is x. So this would be the shorter leg. This would be x square root of 3, and this, of course, would be 1. So it's the same way. Let me clear it out. Let's make it a little straighter. Show that to you again. So see, make a line here. We have our line, x and y graph, and well, you keep using blue. So let's say we made this line over here. We know that it's 60 degrees, and we made our straight line going down, and we made our right triangle now. So we know that's 90, so this has to be 30. So again, we have, instead of having this being 30 degrees, where that's x, we have it where this is 60 degrees, 30 is over here, so that would be x. Just be careful with that. So again, we know that's 1. We know that opposite the 30 degrees, right, here's our little dotted line showing you where it is. That'll be x. And this line with the arrow would be x square root of 3. Do the same thing. So again, if this is 1, this has to be half. And this again would be half square root of 3. So what is the coordinate of this purple line or magenta? What is that coordinate? The y, this is now the y would be square root of 3 over 2. And the x would be half. So it's reverse. And keep in mind, if you do this, finding 30 degrees, if you can find 30 degrees in a triangle, if you can find that special triangle, then you can find the coordinates with the 30, 60, 90. What other ones can we use? What if we had this? Put a line straight over here. All right, so this is, we'll say that was 60 degrees, and this is 90 degrees. If we had 120 degrees, what can you do with 120 degrees? See if you can find that answer. So again, make a straight line so you have your 90-degree angle. So we have our 90-degree angle over here. And what would this degree be? So we have 2 degrees. Well, if you go from 120 to, remember, this is 180 degrees. That's 60 degrees. So we know that's 60. So that would be 30. Following this. It's exactly opposite what we did over here. Right? So this would be x. That would be 1. And what would this be? Put a little arrow. You know, right? X square root of 3. So it's the same like this, except don't forget we're in the second quadrant. So if I wanted to find this coordinate, what would it be? We'll put it over here. What would that coordinate be? We'll put a little arrow pointing to it. Well, x will be now at negative half, but the y stays the same because it's still in the positive in the second coordinate. So remember, be careful with the negatives. All right, let's do one more. What if I gave you, well, we made a line going straight down here, and we said it was 210 degrees. See if you can find the coordinates right here in blue. Put a little arrow down for it. See if you can find those coordinates. Pause the tape. So, and when you're looking at this, remember you're in the third quadrant. So in the third quadrant, remember you're going to have negative for x and negative for the y. Just remember that. Now, we're trying to create a 30, 60, 90. So we put our straight line down. So now there's our 90. And you may be confused, well, where do I put my 30? Well, just think of when you make a right angle, right? So you had 180 over here. and this is 210. So what is that angle? Right? That's 30. So this would be 30, because what's left is 60. Right? So if this is 30 degrees, well, this has to be 60 degrees. So we know that this right over here is the 30 degree. So we have our 30 degree, 60 degree, 90 degree special triangle. So let's clear that out. I'll make it again so it's easier to see. I'll use green. So we have our x, and we have our y, and we said 210 degrees. There's 180. So we know we have our 30, and we made a straight line. So now we have our 90, and there's our 60. So opposite 30 would be the x. Remember, that's the shorter leg. Opposite the 30, that is. Opposite the 60 would be x square root of 3, and that would be 1. Why is it 1? Well, because it is 1, because we said any radii that you create from the center in a unit circle will be 1. So what are the coordinates? We'll put them over here. Remember, we said the x is at negative what? Let's put our little thing here. The x is at negative 3 over 2, square root, negative 3 over 2. And the y is at negative half. So this point to this point on the x is negative 3 over 2. Remember now, the 30 is over here. So this is the y part. This is the x part. As you can see, there's that and there's that. All right. Now, let's just one more time. Let's do the 45, 45, 90. And we'll clear that out. Maybe we'll use purple. So I'll attempt to make our straight line again. And now we'll just say 45 degrees. So we have our 45 degrees. Again, we make a 90-degree angle. So we have our 90. And we know that if it's 45, that will be 45. And of course, this will be 45. So on the 45, 45, 90 is our 90 degree. We're going to have the square root. The hypotenuse is the square root of 2. That's the ratio. So the ratio is 1, 1, square root of 2. And we know that this is an isosceles triangle. So we already know. What do we know? Well, we know, use that color. We know that the hypotenuse is 1. So what would the other sides be? And that way we can find our coordinates. Well, we have to divide this out, right? We're saying 1 divided by the square root of 2. And remember, in the last video, I talked about rationalizing the denominator. We can do that by taking the square root, multiplying it on top and bottom. And this will give you the square root of 2 over the square root of 4, which equals the square root of 2 over 2, because the square root of 4 is a perfect square. So that's our coordinates. So they'll be the same anyway. Here and here, just be careful. What is the x? The x is the square root of 2 over 2 for this coordinate right here. And the y is the same thing, square root of 2 over 2. Now over here, put a little arrow. This is the square root of 2 over 2 for x, but the y is 0. Keep that in mind. Don't get tricked by that. All right, that's our video today.